The one and only Hong Kong dollar that I have left from the NCA trip is gonna decide the fate of this episode. But before I toss it, let me say thanks to all of the participants and organizers of the hackathon finale and community assembly. It was nice. And we are going to start with NeoGo this time. We have made 3 releases of NeoGo during these 2 months, and the latest and greatest one is 0.104.0, which you should be using for both testnet and mainnet, because that's the one that is compatible with the C# node version 3.6.2. And this version contains important protocol updates and fixes related to network security, so please make sure your nodes are upgraded if you are running them. We have also removed some deprecated APIs and configuration options from our NeoGo node. They were long obsolete and you are not likely to be using them. But if you are using some of the old configuration options, we now have additional checks for configurations, and if you're using some deprecated options, it will quickly show you that's the case, and you will be able to fix your configuration pretty easily. And surprisingly, it was helpful even for us, because we have found in our own configurations some old options that were long obsolete and actually gone, but they were still hanging in some old configurations of the node that we were running. We have also added additional Genesis block extensions to our NeoGo node. That's mostly important for someone that tries building some private networks or test networks, or maybe some, of course, NeoFS networks that can use this feature. And it allows you to configure some roles right in the Genesis block, and also allows you to have some scripts to run right in the Genesis block, which can be helpful in many cases. But it's an extension. Please keep in mind that it's not a part of the official protocol. Still, we think it's useful in many scenarios. We also have extended our zero-knowledge proof toolset. If you are planning to build some zero-knowledge proof contracts or any other tooling around that, we also extended support for them. What we are doing now for NeoGo is we are extending the command line interface of it with some new commands and some additional options for older commands that make it more convenient to use for scripting of various kinds. And we are also extending our RPC interface. We're adding additional notification feeds and some options to older notification feeds for you to be able to have more fine-grained events than previously. We will also be implementing protocol changes, of course. We do have some planned, but to be fair, our blockchain department is currently somewhat busy with an additional project. As you may have noticed on Neo News today already, and if you haven't, then pause and go subscribe to NNT really. NeoSPCC is a part of the joint Bane Labs effort to create an EVM-compatible Neo chain. This is the main focus of our blockchain-related sub-team, and I won't go into a lot of details about it right now, because it's not yet finished, and you already know a lot about it, because there was a substantial media coverage, so likely you have not missed it. And we will talk more about it once the testnet is unveiled, and you'll be able to see it yourself. Switching gears to NeoFS. 0.39.0 release was not done in November, but it's somewhere in here. And the main thing that we have finally done for it is the auto-deployment and auto-update functionality for contracts. This is a huge step for us. And combined with the other work that we have done, we have finally achieved a more streamlined build, test, and deployment pipeline. Just consider, a year ago, to deploy a NeoFS network, you needed, actually it started from NeoGo. So you needed a NeoGo of some version with a proper configuration, and then you needed an inner-ring node, and then you needed a storage node with, of course, appropriate configurations. Then you needed some NeoFS contracts of some version that were delivered separately, So then you need a local database that you should get from somewhere, and it's binary and it's something, okay. Then you needed some NeoFS Atom utility, and then you needed some scripts, some luck, and even some prayers to make it all work, make it all go. What you need now to deploy NeoFS network is just an inner-ring binary and storage node binary. Of course you need some configurations for them, but that's it. You no longer need to think about all of the other moving parts. They are handled internally. And that, I think, allows us now to move faster with our new features. So expect more from our next developments. The other important and interesting thing that we have implemented for 0.39.0 is verifiable node attributes. So the problem here is that we always had attributes for nodes, but nodes could have them set just as they wish. So we tried to separate our own nodes, the NeoSPCC nodes, from other nodes in the network with some deployed attribute, deployed by an NeoSPCC, for example. Probably others could do things like deployed by AX Labs or deployed by CLZ or whatever. But at the same time, these attributes could be set arbitrarily. Anyone could set an attribute for their node that says deployed by an SPCC, even though they are not related to an SPCC in any way or any other entity or organization. So it wasn't really possible to distinguish some set of nodes and have them be controlled by a single entity. We do provide now this functionality with so-called verified attributes. The way they work is that you register a domain in NNS system, that's the NeoFS NNS contract that we provide on the NeoFS chain. And you can then, as a domain owner for this domain that you register, add some text records with the keys or actually addresses of your nodes. And that's it. Then you have an attribute that says verified domain attribute. This attribute is going to be verified against NNS contract by the inner ring nodes. And if you don't have the key registered there, they will reject the node to enter the network. And if you have it there, then of course it will be added. And this allows you to have some private subgroup of nodes on a public network, like a mainnet or testnet. And we think it's a very valuable and actually useful feature, especially if you consider some hybrid installations. As a part of our ongoing node improvement work, we have also released 2 libraries, one of which is new. It's a UN logcode library that allows you to resolve logcodes, which is just a 5-letter code, into some additional metadata like country, city, geographical coordinates, and continent, and other things that are related to this code. And we actually have tried to find some library for us to do that, but we were not able to. Hence, previously we had this binary database, and now we have this NeoGo package that substitutes it, and it's much easier to use. The other thing that we have released is an improved version of our old HRW library, which is a rendezvous of highest random weight hashing implementation. It's a relatively small library, but we have updated it to use generics, and it has much simpler interface now, and it also is optimized to use much less memory than previously. We have recently launched public instances of REST gateways for mainnet and testnet. Their addresses are available on statusfs.neo.org page, as well as the HTTP gateway that we provide. And keep in mind that both of these gateways are provided for test purposes only. You must not use them for production applications, but you can quickly test your dApps with these gateways if you want to. What we have also implemented and what we recommend you to use is our new shiny GitHub actions that allow you to put anything into NeoFS with just wallet data and basic configuration like the storage node that you want to connect to. It's very easy to use for any of your artifacts like builds, like some test logs or whatever else you have in your GitHub actions. So we have two of them. One is pretty much generic. It allows you to put anything into NeoFS. That's the basic one and it can handle any load. But the other one is more specific. We have adjusted it to store Allure reports in the NeoFS, and it actually has additional parameters, additional configurations, some more convenient API for that. But you can use any of those, and please store your data in NeoFS. We have recently added the NeoFS specification to our fs.neo.org website, and you now can grab the latest and greatest version of it from this website directly rather than building it yourself from the NeoFS spec repository, which was always possible but wasn't really convenient. And this is a great example of our new GitHub action usage, because the way it works is that we have a pipeline which is triggered on every merge commit to the master branch, which builds this specification, pushes it to NeoFS, and then our link on the website grabs the latest version for you from NeoFS. That's about it, and you can use it yourself the same way for any artifacts of your own. Now let's briefly talk about NeoFS roadmap for the nearest future. Aside from application level things that we are preparing for you, but I won't gonna be talking about them right now, we will be digging into the core protocol because there is a set of issues that we want to solve there at this level. One of them is performance. We have substantially improved it previously without changing the core protocol, and now it's time to do some real stuff with gRPC. This will, of course, take some time to stabilize it and roll it out in a backwards compatible way, but that's going to be done. And the next thing that we have on our queue is handling big objects in a better way. We do have a notion of big objects that are a composite of some smaller objects, because otherwise you couldn't have objects like gigabyte or terabyte size. So the way we have them now, we know that there are some issues with how bearer tokens interact with these structures, and we also know some of the things that couldn't easily be done in the current structure, like seeking through the large objects. We want to have a better structure for them that we also going to be improving on the protocol level, and also rolling out in a backwards compatible way. So all the objects are going to work as they worked before, but new ones are going to use this new protocol. Then the next thing is that we want to extend our EACL and search capabilities, but likely that won't fit into the 2 months time frame. At the same time, I think some of the protocol improvements will be delivered maybe somewhere in January, because in general I expect us to have shorter release cycle now, like some 4 to 6 weeks at least. That would be optimal. Maybe with the protocol changes it's going to be extended somewhat, but in general the next year expect more of NeoFS releases that deliver more useful feature for you.